I got so excited about everything. I let my ego rise. That soul was totally overpowered by the power and the applause.
We live in this era now where we really are starting to see and understand the deep appreciation for artists that work behind the camera. In this conversation, we sat down with international and celebrity photographer Cibelle Levi. She shot the likes of Hailey Bieber, Kendall Jenner, Rosie Whitley Huntington, Willow and Jaden Smith, Winnie Harlow, Tyra Banks, Saint Jhn, and Camila Cabello, just to name a few. She is conscious, she is compassionate, and she is a true creative. Let's get into it. My girls, my guys, my group. This is MG Method, the show. What would you say that you've been curious about lately? That you're like, man, I'm kind of wild about this right now.
Not so close, but like someone I care about friend. He thrives on history, he thrives in romanticism, and he brings that to present day. So, you know, he was in France over the summer and he mailed me a postcard with a letter, right? And so receiving that was something, it made me realize what do I want, and it made me realize the beauty of this, whatever inspired him to do this. And so I've been like navigating history a little bit, poetry and romanticism, but pure, genuine, like whole romantics. And that's led me to discover a lot, like architecturally in history, the beauty of architecture, and also the way nature has shaped mountains and groves, and discovering basically like artifacts and languages that are undiscussed. And I kind of like once in a while will go on this tangent where, I don't know, I'm like, give me all the knowledge. We only know what we know, and that's like no % of what we can. And like, can I add a little bit more to like my life resume of information? Like if I have like an extra piece of knowledge I could drop at a table at a dinner conversation, I'm down. But recently, I would just say history of architecture and history of culture, and the way we've adapted our behaviors person to person and communication. So from letters to, from walking to the next village just to say one thing to someone, to where we're at now, has definitely sparked my interest. And you're the first person I'm saying that to, because I kind of just do that on my own time. Me and not feeling worthy is what is the root of that, because I don't feel that like I'm worthy of occupying that space in someone's heart and mind by like telling them how I feel. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny because you feel like, I don't know which one comes first. Is it that someone's worthy, they feel worthy and they recognize it, so they feel okay asking for their needs, or is asking for our needs what helps us feel worthy?
Wow. Yes. I think it requires a balance, and I am working on creating that balance. Do you feel like you have that balance?
I think some of it is influenced by history. So for me, I grew up in a family where we didn't necessarily hear that ask. You know, my mother is like, she moved here from another country, and I think that part of the programming was women especially, you know, you not asking was a sign that you were gifting and so selfless in this way. I feel safe in the ask.
Wow.
because I do feel that if I ask, then I want it on the table. I want to ask. It means though that at the same time, sometimes that ask will not be met. But I feel that time is so precious. So if the ask can't be met, I'd rather know early. It's there, you know? Like, I feel like sometimes go ahead. Yeah, you were gonna say something. No, you were gonna say something.
Do you feel that I'm asking because this is how I feel. Do you feel that the nature of the ask itself, that in the moment just shut them down?
My dad always used to say this like one line, and he would always say, people have to be ready to receive information, including you. And so there's so many things that affect us being able to show up for people and them being able to show up for us. Sometimes it could be the tone. I'm really trying to play with tone. And I'm so curious, we're curious how you bring that into your work. Because just the tone of something, like for me especially, and I know, you know, some of that is cultural too, and some of it is direct, and I feel a comfort in you speaking to me very directly, but I know sometimes in even romantic relationships that has not been received well. And so I have to play with, you know, a curiosity that's necessary of you trying to explore the way in which you express and the way in which it's received. And so knowing that whatever we feel, our intention, it might not be received in that way. How do you bring tone into, because, you know, when we see your work, your expression, you know, this is you in these moments, in these like magical moments that you've captured, you're translating a tone. How do you feel through that in your life, and then how do you bring that into your work?
I can bring it through to my work because when I'm on set, like I'm all in. Like I don't bring none of my other things on set with me. And I'm only able to do that because of all the quiet time that I give myself. My me time is a preventative measure that I take to avoid any risk of changing the energy on set because of something that's going on in my personal life. And I'm glad I didn't learn that or like introduce this to my life through trial and error. It's just I didn't ever want to experience that in the first place. So I kind of asked myself, what does that mean then to be on set fully and wholly with your subject and get them to be their most raw self with you? It means that my slate's empty so that my environment and aura is not affecting who they are, and they could just come out with it. Because my career is one of the most beautiful, inspiring, important things in my life, time with myself and me time is my utmost priority. And I don't always have an audience for that in friendship or in family. But I've learned to be okay with it. The opportunity to use this to talk about myself and for once be selfish.
Context and capacity.
Context and capacity.
So I compartmentalize. There are certain relationships, you know, if it's a stranger, a friend, I'm working, I can lean into that. If it's romantic, maybe not so much, you know. I've done that. I've stayed in places that it was time for me to leave much earlier. You know, and people will kind of see that and say you hope for that and you're wishing for something, wishful thinking that doesn't belong in that space because it's detrimental to them as well. Because you're wanting, because that's when I say, that's when capacity comes in. Because sometimes it's beyond the capacity of that thing. And so you're asking something of it that doesn't belong to it. And so this is where I say, you know, can we bring a challenge network in? I keep using this challenge network. Like, what's your challenge? Who's in your challenge network? Which is this concept of people close to you that you love and trust with purest intention that can challenge what you do, what you think, and what you feel. So sometimes I have a girlfriend, Veronica, where I'll be in a relationship and she's like, you gotta let that go, Max. You're holding on to it. That's not for you, you know? Because she sees my pain and wanting it to be something different. Yeah. Who's a part of your challenge network? Who do you go to that you know that can say, that's wishful thinking, you know, or you've reached capacity there and maybe let that go?
My mom, 100%. And one friend who I made 2 years ago, and it's beautiful because it's like always progressing and it's without expectation and it's without, you know, establishing what this is. But also because he's a guy, my heart starts fighting with, what is this friendship? So it's like sensitive. And I love that I've had people come in and out of my challenge network.
Ooh.
A part of me makes me think that I'm like stepping up for myself that much quicker if I keep growing beyond that challenger and that challenger and that challenger. See, this is why I fight myself on how come I got so close with this person and they're out of my life again. But then I think about what I'm telling you right now, and it's like, maybe don't take it that personally and view it from, you know, a stronger, more beautiful place, which is they provided you so much, and is this space now providing the next challenger to come your way?
You're blowing my mind with this because
I'm just like,
I don't
know.
You're blowing my mind because, you know, I didn't actually even in this concept of the challenge network, I didn't actually even think about the flexibility and fluidity of a challenge network, and in the fact that that is going to constantly, right? As you step into growth, as you step into a more evolved state, clearly even the challenge network has to as well. Yeah. You know, you have now made me reevaluate what necessarily is, you know, in the challenge network, because it requires that you, as you have new challenges, new and different and evolved in certain ways, so will the network. The network must as well.
The network must. If you're gonna change, then the network must as well. That's a really nice way to view life that way.
You know, many people don't work in a freelance capacity as you do when you go onto a set. You're in a new environment, you're with new talent. What are strategies that you've used to stay comfortable in like very foreign territory often? You know, people are like, how do you even navigate? You know, I need to know what's happening. I need to go to the same desk and I need to know that I'm gonna be sitting here, and you need to, you know, how do you start to kind of know that when you, do you feel comfortable in the unknown? Is it, would you say it's more uncomfortable for you to be in things that feel monotonous, or do you feel more comfortable when it's, you know, this is new territory and that's like your zone?
So I've actually changed like completely in that regard. It's the fear thing. So foreign territory used to make me really uncomfortable because who's to say how I would feel or react or behave, or how I would or would not be inspired if I didn't know what is already laid out for me. And that came from a place of a lack of trust in myself and execution, to now where I will say this, I'm not fully out of a state of fear, of course. Like, something I'm always working on, and especially with my heart, it's something I'm working on. But on the work front, I've found some of my most successful works shining through the spontaneity of set. And so because that's kind of like proof that I can succeed in like newness and radical behavior or like, too much energy or the lack of, and I could still bring X, Y, and Z to the table. It kind of just like instilled this thing in me where now I'm just like, let's go.
Yeah.
Now I look for it. I look for it because I'm playing, like you said, you use the word play, but I look for it because I'm playing with life right now. Like I'm playing with my tolerance level. I'm playing with, because I'm more open as well and trying to be, one of the practices I've instilled in enhancing my life openness is putting myself in like more and more uncomfortable positions and also asking less questions so that I know less, so that I'm challenged. So it's like I'm maneuvering like in little ways to bring a spontaneity in me a little bit, which I think over the years I've lost. And it's, if I'm looking back at like who I was in college, for example, granted there's a lot of growth from college till now, but one thing that I'm trying to bring back is like I was such a spontaneous girl. Like I was
in college.
Yeah, so spontaneous, not careless, not a mess, together but spontaneous, down, trusting. It's okay, like I'm safe. It'll work out. I'm supported. I had all that. And somewhere along the lines, like through my last relationship, it kind of got pulled out of me because that part of me wasn't supported or applauded. And like over the years, I've just lost this part of me. And so now I'm trying to bring that back, bring back the openness, bring back the empowerment, back the spontaneity.
And how do you think that you do that?
I'm wearing color now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, what are tools that help you like do that?
Yeah.
Color.
I wear color.
And before you didn't?
Black all the time. Black, gray, boots all the time. Now I even like show my toes in sandals. No, but like little things.
Yeah. These little moments of like freedom in your body, your physicality, your color.
Yeah, my hair. I used to hide behind it when it was like long locks. And over time, it's so funny, but my hair transformation is definitely like correlated to how open and confident I'm starting to feel. And this is the shortest I've ever gone. And it's also, I also feel the strongest I ever have in my life. I feel like you can look at me, you know?
Wow. When would you say, in what environment do you notice that you feel most sexy?
In what environment?
And what does that even mean to you? Because
What
I
does
think
that
it's
mean?
important to
Yeah, what
that
does
we
that mean
talk
to
about
me?
what it, to you. Because we look at, as bystanders, like look at your work and go, ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's visceral, It's visceral, elusive, it's thoughtful. So what is sexy to you, I guess, first?
Oh my gosh. Well, the first thing that came to my mind, I guess, is, wow, I feel most sexy when I can offer a tank full of love. And it makes me emotional because I want that love to be received, but that's when I feel most sexy. I really do. I really do. Yeah, my heart and me is like a really important relationship I'm working on, and the love factor is, I think the world needs a lot more of it. And I've been able to help so many friends and families and strangers by just giving them love. And they'll say it to me too. And it's the best feeling. And I just want to do more of it. And I don't know, I feel so good when I'm doing that. And also in physicality, in sweats and a hoodie.
That's your zone.
Sweats and a hoodie, no makeup is my zone.
You are so up close and personal with so many artists and people, and so you get to see humanity so close. You're so intimate with that. What has it taught you about beauty, true beauty?
Everyone has it. It either needs to be given permission to come out. It needs, honestly, genuine compliment and genuine notice and genuine awareness in someone to permit them to even see that that is what that is and that it exists. A lot of the work that you see with my clients where it's like that raw beauty is the first time they ever did something like that. So we take 15 minutes shooting and that's the images that you see, but you don't see like the 4 hours of us hanging out at the house before those images come to life. And then I also don't show them the images through the camera.
Because do you notice that what happens when you do that?
Yeah, so
people start to censor or...
we're talking and it's all like real and good, and then we're ready to shoot and we shoot, and then all those blocks come back up. Let me see, I'm scared. Oh no, what is that? Everything that we just broke down just shoots back up again. And I very calmly, like routinely, I'm like, you'll see them, you'll love them. Don't worry about it. That's it. I don't even engage. Why? Yeah, my work it's become a business, it's become a full-time business, thank gosh, but my work is not business for me. My work is very personal. And if someone's even gonna lend their face or body to me to photograph, like I owe it to them to respect the space and their time.
You are what many people would consider a high achiever, and people have a perception of success and what success means. But you have, what would you say to a person that feels like all I need to do is just get to this success, and then you've been on the other side of that? You've seen it the whole way through in terms of what most people would deem as success. What would you like to share with us about it?
I think success is a really interesting conversation because there's two parts to it. There's how are you keeping up with your society? Because at the end of the day, you do need to maintain some sort of presence, degree, professionality, social currency, to be heard, to be seen, for the opportunities to even really be introduced to you. And so you have to play a little bit of that game. You do. But success in that regard, to even meet that and to play that game wholly, you can only do if you know yourself, your boundaries, who you are, so you don't get sucked into it. Your values don't get touched, right? Success is basically achieving what you want in like very minute, small degrees on a daily basis. Living a balanced life while you're doing that, and not forgetting really that ultimately people and family and your close friends, the things that actually like warm your heart when you go to sleep, are very much a thriving part of your life. Because you can see my work on paper, but you don't see that for the first 4 years when I was traveling I got a ton of health problems. I was highly disconnected from my family and close friends. And everyone thought I was killing it. And I was at the saddest point in my life. So success is just way bigger than, it's way bigger than the names and the paper. And just make sure, you know, you lay your goals out and cut them down into tiny little things that you can achieve on a daily basis, and make sure you're moving in that direction. Make sure you're making the right decision with every decision, at least trying to. And check in with yourself and make sure you're living balanced socially, with family, with time with yourself, and like your other passions. Don't throw all your eggs into one basket. I also think that that's success.
You know, sometimes we hear these stories of people that are like, I was in this full-blown grind mode, my body shut down, I was this, the other.
Yeah.
And then they've seen it through to the other side, and then they go, now I have a little bit more balance or taking more time. Is it necessary? Is it required that there is a time period in which you have that kind of grind and struggle? Or do you think that now looking back, do you feel that because you put that time in and you got to that place that you've now been able to kind of have this new form of balance? Or do you think it's possible to achieve the things that I would like to achieve while also maintaining
That's a really good point. Yeah, I think bigger picture, we do live a very fluid life with ups and downs, emotionally in our personal lives. I only think it's natural in our professional lives that it does too, and to not resist it. I will say, I don't have one regret of how hard I did go for the first 4 years when, my insides were really hurt, but, my career was actually blooming, my connections were blooming. There was momentum there, and, I kept going with the momentum, and I feel like, personally, I went with the momentum a little too long, so that when I needed to tone it down, I actually needed to tone it down to I needed to go MIA. I did stop work for 6 months fully. So that's intense. So I think momentum and moving and grinding is great if it's offset by a slowed down version of it, not completely needing to remove from. I think that that's where the balance is.
Did you feel like you hit that place where you needed to stop 6 months because it was how you did it, how you personally, Cibelle, did it, and or it was just the nature of the time?
I think how I did it.
Which is what?
I got so excited about everything, and I let my ego rise, and I felt I deserved everything I was receiving, and that I felt that I deserved more, so let me keep going so I could get more. So my ego totally ran me all those years. That soul was totally overpowered by the power and the applause. And the selfish part of me also was putting it in my community's face. People that ever talked me down. It was So my ego was running me. There's success in ego because there's drive, right? And there's power and there's high motivation, and nothing's gonna stop you. But there was no balance with soul there. There was passion, but it was ego driven.
And imagine it becomes a challenge because in culture, it's really rewarded.
Yeah.
It can be really rewarded, for all of the accolades and all this. And it's nice that you took that time to recognize it, and you took 6 months. You took 6 months away completely from really.
It took a little more. Yeah. Leading up to the 6 month decision, and then after winding back into work. But I would say for about a year, I was taking care of my health, taking quiet time, doing nothing actually, not really attending weddings or parties, seeing a few friends, just honestly being at home at my parents' house with my mom's attention. And I needed that like recharge.
Yeah.
I really did. Then 6 months before, I would say summer 2019, I started getting into the groove of things again. And then last year, I just let introspection take over instead of needing to recharge. So I felt recharged and I had a full tank. And then last year, I was like, let's keep the tank full, but then let's like rewire it a little bit. So that was last year.
We're curious what some of your, with the state of new tools, what are some of your audacious goals in now with the skill sets that you have as well?
Career-wise?
Or life.
Life-wise.
Yeah.
So I would say career-wise and personally, I've rewired this tank to thrive with support and letting go of the reins. Surrender, but keeping watch. So this time last year, I decided that I would surrender work. So I have a business background and I actually enjoy like that, running my business, but I wanted to start working on creative, and it was either let me bring on just an independent manager that can help me, or it's time to be repped by an agency and have contracts and all that handled. But I had to like come to it on my own terms. So now I have a beautiful support system. We have the same language, my agent and I. If I want to handle things, I still handle things just as I always did. And if I don't, then I have, this extra set of hands who is talented at what they do, and that is their job, so that I could focus on my creative. And on the personal front, same thing, like being supported. So I'm sharing a lot more than I ever did.
Yes, we're grateful.
Yeah, we're so grateful. I'm sharing a lot more than I ever did. I'm less private than I've always known myself to be. Mm-hmm. And I'm growing to really like that about myself, because I'm doing it I'm going at my own pace. And so I have friends that are here and they've always been, and I've been working with my pace, and it's beautiful. And I hope that continues. And if it doesn't, then similar to the challenging network, it's okay for there to be ins and outs and going from 1 to 5 with friends and back from 5 to 1 with friends. I think it's okay. So I'm practicing flexibility and support and being okay with it and sharing.
Yes. What do you think? We're so grateful. We're so grateful.
Yeah. This is so nice.
Yeah, I saw it. The light. Yes.
Yeah.